Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be playing with some new products from the Simon Says Stamp Dream Big release. I'm going to be using some glimmer foils and also playing with some paint. So here's a look at the product that I'm going to be using tonight. This is the intricate GINGKO Leaves Foil and Cut. It is a hot foil plate. They are together, so it just takes one pass. You don't need to separate them. And it also has a coordinating die. I'm going to be using some Hammermill cardstock and champagne glimmer foil from Spellbinders. Any smooth cardstock will work for this. And I'm just trimming my panel in half and then trimming my glimmer foil to fit the size of my panel and actually just a little bit smaller so that I have some of that cardstock showing. When I do my foiling, I like to be able to attach my actual foil plates to my cardstock so that they don't shift around. I'm lining up my Glimmer Hot Foil plate over that foil and just trimming off that excess. So the sandwich I have right now is my cardstock. I have my Glimmer foil shiny side up and then my hot foil plate face down, and I'm holding that down with some of the Simon Says Stamp low tack tape. I'm taking my sandwich and placing it so it's plates down, touching the Glimmer System, put my shim on top, and then hit the timer button. When that green light is solid, I'm going to disengage that platform and run it through my die cut machine. Then I'm carefully removing that tape to reveal my glimmered piece. If you'd like a more detailed instruction on how to use the Glimmer Hot Foil system, I will link that down below. So as I peel that foil away, you can see how beautiful and shiny this is and has very intricate lines to it. So I'm going to repeat these steps and I'm going to do it 2 more times so that I have 6 of these ginkgo leaves ready for me to die cut. Now before I do any die cutting though, I do want to do some ink blending and add some color to these ginkgo leaves. So I'm starting off with the Simon Says Stamp Celery ink and a mini blending brush. I'm just going to add that lightest color to the very top of the ginkgo leaves, and I'll do that to each one. Then I'm going to bring in Perfection. So this is a couple shades darker than the celery ink, and I'm adding that to the bottom portion of the leaves, kind of blending up into that lighter color. I'm also going to add color down into the stems because I want it to be kind of a complete look. I had played with this before and I had left the stems white around the edges, but for this I decided to add the color to it. Then I'm just taking a towel and buffing off that excess ink from the foil. Next, I'm going to bring in the coordinating die, which is going to die cut both of these out at once. I'm going to bring in my mini die cutting machine, place that on top of the plate, put my top plate on, and then run that through. And you can see these cut out all of my image perfectly. Now I'm going to take a handful of them and start arranging them on the front of a card. So I had looked up actually on Pinterest some different arrangements of ginkgo leaves, and I really liked how this one was, where it kind of looked like just a nice stem full of ginkgo leaves. So I took my press and seal and I picked that up so I could save that arrangement. Now for my background, I am going to be bringing out some distress paint, and this is in the Shabby Shutters. I don't think I've ever honestly used distress paint before, but I thought it would be really fun. So I'm picking some of that up with my paintbrush and just really going back and forth on the front of my cardstock. This is, I think it's a 110-pound cardstock, so it's a heavyweight cardstock. And I'm making sure to not go to the very edge. I just kind of wanted those brush strokes right in the middle. Then I'm bringing in Lindy's Glitzy Magicals, and this is the Glitzy Gold. I put a little bit onto my work surface, added some water, and I'm going to add flicks of this to my background. Perfect Pearls works similar to this, it's just that this has a little bit more of a kick to it. Next, I'm taking a mini glue bottle and I'm just kind of helping adhere my stems and everything together so that it's easier to attach to the front of the card. I want to use some foam squares to add dimension to this, so I want to make sure this is all one piece before I do that. The foam squares that I'm going to be using today are the Simon Says Stamp branded 3D foam squares. There's 2 thicknesses. There is a really thin one and then a little bit thicker of one. And I'm going to use the large ones and place those over the back of my kind of bunch of ginkgo leaves that I have here. I love foam squares, so I'm really excited for this because now I have more. So I removed the backing of the foam squares and then I did trim that press and seal down so it's a little bit easier for me to grab onto, and I added that to the center of my card. Then once I press that down really well, I'm going to just carefully remove that press and seal, and everything is going to be attached down and in this perfect arrangement. For a sentiment, I really wanted something nice and bold to stand out from the background, and I have the Simon Says Stamps Reverse BU Sentiments. Now, I also think this would make a really great journal page, which I'm kind of hoping to get into. So, this to me is kind of similar to that with me using some paint and just this really fun sentiment. I trim this down into a thin strip, and then before I attach it, I want to get this panel added to a card base because that paint is wet. I didn't use watercolor cardstock, so it does kind of have a slight warp to it. So I'm going to just attach that to my card base. And then I'm taking my sentiment, and because it is a white core cardstock that it's printed on, I'm taking my black Copic marker and just going around those edges to kind of make it complete all the way around. I also added some thin foam squares to the back of my sentiment and added those to the front of my card. I'm going to embellish this with some clear quartz sequins from GINGKO Designs. These kind of actually are like confetti. So just using my jewel picker and some liquid glue to attach those down. So that is going to finish off my card project for you. I really love how this came out and kind of that natural brushstroke in the background. And these ginkgo leaves are so pretty. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will have all of the supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. Here are a few other videos I think you might enjoy.